Welcome to another episode of the Bossy Jabbypreneur podcast. This is episode 84, $19 a day, the halal investing reset Muslim women need. And we're here with Samar Tariq. She is one of my favorite people. And we're talking about something that we all as Muslim women should be talking about. I had some interesting conversations this morning, just posting the post, just saying that someone was coming into the Bossy Jabby Society to speak. And you would not believe how many comments I got where women were saying, I'm so glad to be starting the wealth conversation. Many of these women are in their mid to late 30s, early 40s plus. We need this conversation now more than ever. And if you are a woman that's under the age of 30, you should be having this conversation now. And more importantly, you should be taking action now. Thank you so much, Samar, for taking the time to chat with us and just leave us with your expertise in this area. Samar Tariq is the wealth advisor at Saturna Capital. Alhamdulillah, wealth is very important in these times. Great to see a Muslim woman in the wealth space. Welcome, Samar. Tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll get into the episode, inshallah. And assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Lima, for that beautiful introduction. I'm so excited to be here with you and to have this conversation. Can you believe it's been 3 years since we met? I was just thinking about that.
And so much has happened in that time. So amazing. My wife became a mom. We've done a lot of amazing things, and I believe we've helped a lot of women. So time has really gone by because we're having fun in the best way.
Overall, it's been 14 years in finance. I started with Saturna Capital 3 years ago as the regional manager for the Northeast. I loved that role. It got me to really branch out to the community, go to different masajid, give presentations, work with different women's groups, and connect directly with and only with the women. Because all this time, there wasn't a female regional manager. I was the first one. Saturna Capital, we hit the 40-year anniversary with the Mana Funds just this year. For 37 years, you could say, there was no one addressing the women only. I had the absolute honor of being able to do that. And then going out, connecting with amazing women such as yourself, different women's organizations and groups, and being able to do workshops, presentations, and talks on financial literacy for them. With that role, I was able to create so many different relationships and connect with women. I started to see certain themes.
Talking about those themes.
Absolutely. When you're talking to women, they'll carry a lot more guilt when it comes to their finances. I have conversations with everyone, men and women, but if notice when I talk to the women, they're the ones that are more apologetic or they feel bad for not knowing something. They'll carry guilt related to their finances. And then there's also that sense of comparison and that feeling of being behind, which comes a little bit from society, a little bit from what we're told, some from social media. I've tried so hard to pull that out of them. In my presentations, I tell them, no apologies here before your questions. Your questions are good questions. No one taught this to you before, and you don't need to feel bad about money. You don't need to feel bad about wanting to make money, trying to understand money, and getting on top of your finances. Like, even if you took this step at age 40, you took that step. You're the one that proactively went out, tried to increase your financial literacy. And you can't feel bad about that. If anything, you have to give yourself credit.
Absolutely. I love what you said. It's shame. I don't do better with my finances or I don't make the first investment because I feel shame. I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 40s. I'm in my 50s. We did an event together here in New York City, the Power Brunch. And we had a woman in her 70s investing for the first time. I think this is a really important conversation to have. And I love the way you just framed that. So ladies out there, there's no reason to feel shame. This is the presentation that I love. It was back in 2024. It was our first Empower Her Con that we did in Tampa, Florida. And it was my favorite part of your presentation, somebody. She said, I didn't know what a 401k was. When I tell you, it tickled me, but at the same time, it was so real. When you looked out into the sea of women, they could totally relate to you. I didn't even know what a 401k was. And I'm working in the financial field. That was such an amazing thing to say to women, because we often think that someone is in a certain financial role and we think that we can't ask questions. I'm going to look or sound stupid if I admit to this thing. And so I love that you brought that up. I think that's very important because someone may click off this episode because they're like, oh, well, this conversation is not for me or it's too late for me.
Jazakallah for bringing that up because I'm very honest and open about that. You never know who's in that situation. Before Citron Capital, I had worked at 3 separate financial institutions and all large ones. I was not contributing until I got to my third one. The first, not the second, the third financial institution. What did I know about a 401k? That I couldn't access it until I was 60. When you take someone out of college and they have no money and every dollar counts and you tell them, this is money that you won't touch till age 60, they're not really going to be very open-minded about that unless they understand it. I remember when someone actually sat me down and explained it all to me, and I started investing a little bit. Then over a few months, when I saw it grow, a part of me was so angry with myself. So I understand that feeling when a woman feels like she's late or she should have known this before. At the same time, now I really do make it my mission to spread the financial literacy so this bit of information can get to someone sooner.
Yeah.
Even if it's someone in their 40s or 50s, when their children are graduating college and going into their first job, guess what they're going to do on day one? They're going to sign up for 401k.
I love this because that was my experience. I had a boss. This was my first real job. I was in my early 20s. I was a supervisory role and, green. I just graduated. At the time I got married. So it was like everything was happening at once. I just got married, just had a kid. I'm starting this new job, beginning my career. It was like a year later. It was review time. I think my boss was able to see that I was not participating in 401k. He sat me down during my review and he said, I'm going to show you something. He showed me his portfolio. When I tell you, it was such an eye-opener. And I was like, oh, I can do this, and all I have to do is contribute this. You're doing your review, so of course you got a raise. And so what he said to me, treat your raise like investment money. Anytime you get a raise, don't upgrade your lifestyle, upgrade your level of investments. I never forgot that. My structure with my business is different, but anytime I get a bonus, it goes right into investments. I credit it all back to that boss. Such an eye-opener for me. And my children, it's the same way for them. My daughter, she just started college. So she's like, oh, what do I do with the extra money? Oh, this is what you do with the extra money. This brought back some really amazing memories. You're hearing it from 2 sisters who look like you, who come from the same background as you saying this. And both mothers, I've been a wife, she's currently a wife, alhamdulillah, can still have these wealth conversations surrounding all of that. I think that that's important to say too.
Absolutely. I like that you bring up conversations because I feel the Muslim community does not talk about money enough in a healthy way. We need to be having more conversations about money and healthy conversations about money. So we can get rid of this stigma around associating wealth with only greed and sin when it comes to your faith. No, it doesn't have to be like that. These are the conversations we should be having at our dinner tables, like whether it's with your kids and they're starting jobs, ask them about the 401k, or if you're meeting your friends, you can tell them, hey, I learned about this. I learned that I can do a college fund for my child. I learned that I could do a regular investment account for something that I'm saving up for short term, like Hajj. These are the conversations we should be having. We'll find that once we start doing this, it'll be really uplifting for the entire community. Right? What I always ask, when you picture an investor, who do you picture? We can change the image that comes to our head.
Ooh, child. And listen, y'all don't have to say it out loud because we're not going to say it out loud, but you can write it down somewhere, okay? But we all have the same image when we think about wealth, when we think about investing. And right now, it doesn't look like you or I, Samar. But alhamdulillah, I wanted to talk a little bit further because the Bossy Jobbipreneur podcast is for professional Muslim women. We have women from all over the world that tune in. I specifically want to talk about a business owner for a while because I believe that wealth and investing are blind spots for business owners. I know it was for me. Coming from a corporate background, I understand investing. When you're in the trenches, you're just starting your business, you're using savings, which I don't suggest, by the way. Maybe you're using investment money. That would be great if you are. But you said it a little bit earlier, every dollar counts when you're starting a business. Dare I say it, probably 110% of your money is going back into the business when you first start. I think wealth and investing are conversations that business owners think that they can have because they're pouring into their business and not into some type of retirement account. And I think that's a mistake. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and walking us through what you tell the business owner who has been doing this? Where do they start?
We're going to start by definitely validating their feelings. I get it. The business, that's your baby. You put everything into it. Every dollar, every cent, maybe even more than what you have. It all goes back into the business. You want it to grow. You want it to flourish. You want it to do really well. And that's all you're thinking about. Think about it this way. What about the person behind the business? That's you. You're not going to pay yourself first. What about changes in life? What if you end up doing something else? What if you decide that maybe a different business or maybe for a short period of time, some other chapter in your life? We know life is not linear. You know what is linear? If we're going to ignore physics and quantum physics for a little bit, time. The time that you're losing by not taking that step to invest in a retirement account, you can't get that time back. Time is your best friend as an investor. It is better to invest less money earlier versus trying to catch up later and investing more money later on. Definitely pour yourself into your business, but take a very small chunk and also pour into yourself first. I ask myself all the time, there's someone that I'm always worried about, and that person is 80-year-old Summer, right?
Ooh, wow, that's really good.
So you have to think about your 80-year-old self in lots of different aspects of life, in terms of health, in terms of wellness, in terms of money. When I'm 80, do I want to be dependent on a Social Security check and waiting for it every single month? When I'm 80, do I want to be dependent on my children, who will probably be at that time dealing with their own lives, their own families, their own kids? When I'm 80, do I want to be able to go and get my own groceries and be able to take walks and be able to lift my grandchild? If I want to do all of those things, be financially independent, be physically independent, I have to take care of certain things now. I have to follow specific steps in terms of physical, mental, and financial wellness to make sure that that stage, we sometimes accept that, our sunset years are just supposed to be a decline in everything, a decline in health, a decline in money. No, it doesn't. Sometimes what I do is I go through a future value calculator with clients where they can potentially get in retirement, and if it'll last them 25 to 30 years in retirement. So many of them, they'll expect that by age 90 or for whatever we're planning until, they might run out of money and they might not have any money. But surprisingly, when you're investing, sometimes even when you're taking money out of the retirement accounts in retirement age, if the remaining money is still invested, there's still money left over for your estate. Now we're talking about generational wealth. If you're able to invest the right way early on, you can have a healthy, thriving retirement stage, still have money to leave behind in your estate, and now the next generation gets to have that push. They have that catalyst where they don't have to take on student loans. They don't have to take out business loans. They can start businesses. They can buy homes without having to borrow from banks. And now they get that push start. I feel like that's all we really wanted. But to do that, to get there, to build that generational wealth, we have to start early, and we have to start today. For a business owner, another reason why you might be putting it off is you think it's difficult or it's complicated. It's really not. It's very simple to start a retirement account either through your business or to open up an IRA separately. Either one. You can do it through your business, or you could just open up a personal IRA. Depending on the situation, it can even be more tax advantageous if you go through your business. I really recommend, if you'd like, we have a really great 401k department. You can have a one-on-one meeting with them. It doesn't cost anything. It's complimentary. They can walk you through your options. Whether you're the only person in the business or whether you have employees, there are options. If you have employees in particular, think about it. When you can offer them a retirement benefit, they're more likely to stay with you. So that's the other thing that you should be thinking about. Just remember, it's not difficult. It's not complicated. It's great to pour everything into your business, continue doing that, but also carve that little bit out for yourself and just automate it so you don't have to think about it. Focus on your business.
We just had this conversation inside VHS. We're moving into this quarter. Everything is about being profitable by design. Someone is going to be a part of that conversation for this month, alhamdulillah. The reason why I'm bringing you in is for this exact reason right here. We're talking about the different streams of income in our business. Why wouldn't the business invest? This is the perfect conversation for Muslim women in business, because there are multiple streams of income within any one business. Why not put your money to work for you? And here's a perfect example. When you deposit money into your bank account, the bank is using that money. They want you to have a high balance, which is why they say if you keep $20,000 in this account for the full 30 days, you'll get this return on your investment. It's because they've taken your money and they've gone and invested in something else to grow what? Their wealth,
Your money.
right? We need to, as Muslims, I feel like sometimes we're behind the 8 ball, but we have so many people and so much information in our community that we'll be behind the 8 ball no more. I really enjoyed just a bit earlier when you talked about legacy. We think of legacy as sadaqah jariyah when I pass away. While absolutely every single thing that you do while you're here becomes a sadaqah jariyah for you, why is wealth not a part of that sadaqah jariyah? Imagine you leaving the wealth to your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and they build a mosque. They do something for the Muslim community or something amazing in the world. That adds on to your scale of good deeds. That is sadaqah jariyah as well. So your wealth should be included. If we think about the trusts, we have certain trusts. Your wealth is a part of that trust. Is it not? It's one of the amanas. You just described a person who took care of their other trusts, but also took care of their wealth before your poverty. That can come in many different forms. Those are the seeds that you plant and put in the world. They have the power to propel the community forward. This is a very important conversation, and I truly thank you for bringing that up because I think it's something that we often don't think about. You work with high net worth clients and women just starting out. How do you speak to each of those customers?
I remember reading one time that everyone has money problems. The homeless person that you might see on the street corner has money problems. Warren Buffett has money problems. They're just very different levels and different kinds of money problems. So in these conversations, it's really about what the context is and what that person's situation looks like. I always like to tell people think that finances are a science. You need spreadsheets, you need formulas, you need a background in it. Finance is an art. It is different for everybody. It is. Finance is not a science. Finances are an art. Nobody knows your specific finances the way you do. So you can go into a bank or look online and look at the people that are talking about, you need to do this, 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 and this. No, that might not apply to you. Just because someone on a page said that, oh, you must open a Roth IRA, not everyone is eligible for a Roth IRA. Maybe you're above the income limit to contribute to it directly. It's really about getting the context, talking to someone, and based on how much do they know, how much are they comfortable with different types of investments, and most importantly, what are their goals? It's really whether the person is very new to investing, very early on in their investment journey, or whether someone is high net worth, savvy, and has investments already. It really depends on what goal they have tied to their money. Money is the most emotional part of anyone's life. The things that we want, the goals that we have, even the desires that we have, or whatever we want to do for our families, we can't pour out of an empty cup. We can't accomplish some of the things that we want without a certain number of dollars to really back up that goal. So for me, it's really about being able to get them from this is the goal and this is the plan to get to that goal. So creating that plan is really where a lot of the conversation will be spent. I'll have to speak to them first about what is their financial picture.
Yeah, and knowing that it's okay to start from somewhere. Everybody started from somewhere.
Absolutely. The minimum for any of our accounts is $100. That's very intentional. We want investments to be accessible to everybody. There will be certain companies you might see the minimums at $1,000, $2,500, sometimes even more, but we'd like to keep the minimum at $100, one-time investment for any account, because we want this to be accessible to everybody.
Mm-hmm. I think we can both attest to this. That one conversation I had with that boss was the conversation. He was like, just start here. And then when you start to see it compound, you start to see it flourish, you're like, I can do this. And then you say, okay, I can up the ante here. And then it helps you to understand, we won't get too much into like the stocks or what you're actually investing in. But I will tell you, you become savvy along the way. You learn along the way, and you'll start to be able to see, okay, I'll look at this investment and then I'll look at this investment. This one has a little bit more higher risk than I'm willing to invest in right now. Let me go with this low to medium risk. The one thing that you said, the earlier that you start, the more risk you may take in the beginning. The older you get, you might reduce the risk depending on what your investments look like, just because you're getting close to the time where you may need to utilize those funds or take out money from your investment accounts. This is really great information. And I really wanted to ask that question. A lot of people think wealth conversations are only for a Warren Buffett, and they're not. Warren Buffett is like the perfect example because he's the most down-to-earth billionaire I've ever encountered. He's so willing to share the information now. For the sister who has left her 9 to 5 and has a 401k sitting somewhere, I was that woman. What are her options, and what do most people not know about rolling that over into a halal account?
I'd like to really emphasize to that sister, that is your money, not just let it sit somewhere and change hands from one administrator to another and not know how it's invested, not know how it's performing. And if you wait long enough, some people even completely forget. That is your money. It's a really easy process to roll it over. First, you just have to find out where is it sitting. Some of the bigger names might be Fidelity, Vanguard, Empower. Those are common ones, Transamerica. Find out where it's sitting. If you do want to roll it over into a halal investment, then you would have to first open up that halal investment account, the IRA at the halal investment place. You could do that at Saturna Capital, right on our main page. Open up the account, then call the former company. You tell them that you want to initiate a rollover. They'll tell you what the paperwork for that is. Some companies let you do it online. Some companies make you fill out some paperwork, and then they send the check to the new halal company. It's a really simple process. If it's not something that you're on top of, it can get away from you. You'll forget about it. You won't know how it's performing. You don't know what it's invested in. We're in a climate where we should be very conscious of how we're investing our money, where our dollars are going, what our dollars are funding.
Yeah, because sometimes it's causes that don't necessarily align with our faith or our values, right?
Right.
You know,
It can also be sitting in cash. You have to go take a look at it, because if it's sitting in cash, then you're really hurting yourself.
yes, it's not earning anything or much. I have to tell you, this is $1 million worth of game, and could be the difference between you earning the $1 million on your investment versus pennies on the dollar. Speaking of pennies, you can't even get a penny. You can't even give a penny to the bank. They're like, we don't want this.
What's this?
That is funny. I love this question. You work with 3 types of clients: the pushback client, the ready client, and the returning investor. And you talked about her just a little bit earlier. What do you wish more Muslim women understood about investing?
That it's easy. I'm not even kidding. Investing is easy. It is simple. It is really not something that you need a PhD in finance to understand. Please, I encourage you. I'm happy to help one-on-one. Don't avoid it because you think you won't understand, or that it'll go over your head, or that you don't know enough, because it really is very simple. It's more just about setting yourself up, setting good habits financially, and let it take care of itself.
I want to add this because I'm a divorcee. I know women who are divorcees. I know they're widows. I know women who were single and maybe became Muslim. This is for that woman too. This is for the single mom that has younger children that may be going to college soon. There's so many different roads that we can go down with this conversation. I really want you to know, if you're listening, that this is for you too. Dare I say it, it may be even more important. One of the things that I'll say about investments is a conversation that you should have before the thing happens. Before you need the money, or before you have the desire to take out the money, you should be having the investment, the wealth conversation. When you wait, it's a little bit harder. Listen, I'm a Summer stan all the way, because here's another one. She said investing $7,000 a year is just $19 a day. Y'all know y'all be at some places, I'm not going to name any names, and you spend way more than $19. Can you break that down for a business owner who's listening right now?
Absolutely. I love that you bring that up. It's true. If I told someone, open an IRA tomorrow and put $7,000 in it, that's a lot of money to just all at once throw into an IRA. Yes, that is the limit, right, that you can put in, but that doesn't mean that you can just do it all in one shot. Most people can't. The average American, I believe, the quote was somewhere along the lines of, does not even have $500 in the savings accounts.
Right.
$7,000 is a lot of money. But let's switch perspectives a little bit. It is $19 a day, $19 and change. And when you look at it that way and ask yourself, hey, can I this week spend a little bit less money at a specific store, or maybe today I won't order out and I'll cook at home. I'll make the coffee at home. I'll make the matcha at home. Then those habits, they compound. I'm not saying don't spend on yourself. Go buy the coffee, get your drink, go to the stores that you want to. But when it comes to women, we take care of everything. You pay the utilities, you pay the groceries, this bill, that bill, cell phone bill, kids' summer camp, kids need new clothes. I need this. The number one thing on top of all of that should be, I need to put X amount of money into my retirement or investment account. And that X amount can even be $100. It doesn't have to be 1,000. It doesn't have to be very large numbers. It has to be just something. There's one figure I remember reading that in your 20s, every dollar that you put into a retirement account, assuming roughly 10% rate of return annually, can be worth $67 in retirement. Think of it that way.
That's groceries for the week.
It really is. I remember I said to be conscious of your 80-year-old self. If every dollar that I'm putting away today becomes 67 for her, so be it. And when you have a really big goal, if you look at it as that big goal, it's a little bit more intimidating. For example, in the beginning of Ramadan, telling myself, I'm going to finish the entire Quran. This is the year. I do the whole thing. No excuses. It's a little bit daunting, but breaking it up, I will do this many pages per day, or I will do this many pages after Eid Salah. Now you're taking that bigger goal, you break it up into chunks, and now it's something you can really tackle.
This is such a good example because bite-sized pieces, right? You don't have to scale the whole staircase. You just have to take the next step, putting one foot in front of the other. Example, that's easy math. $1 in your 20s is worth $67 in your retirement. It's easy math. That actually makes a lot of sense. You mentioned Hajj a little bit earlier. Like Hajj is a goal for most Muslims, if not all, even those that may not necessarily have the capacity to do it. It is on their dua list. It is on their mind. If I ever get a lump sum of money, I'm making Hajj. I remember going to Umrah. I went in 2024, alhamdulillah. The amount of women, specifically, I'm going to specifically talk about the women that I saw that were in their 60s and 70s making Umrah. The guide that we had said, in some cases, they saved their entire life to get here. This may be the last time that they're here. They want to get everything they can out of this experience. It's the same thing with wealth. We're only going to go around this thing once. What is it? You only live once? Yes. Only going around this thing one time. Okay?
Only marching in one direction.
We're going in one direction. And so how can we make the most of it? I really want us to take away from this episode. Imagine having that money, that dollar that you save in your 20s be $67 in retirement, and then it be money that you can pass on to the next generation, and then they continue to do more with it. We need to understand risk too. R-I-Z-Q, not R-I-S-K. The risk in all its forms. We often talk about risk and we talk about, oh, it's the money. No, risk in all its forms. Your knowledge is risk. So you cannot unhear this episode now that you've listened to it. So now there's ownership that you have to take. There's accountability that you have to take to do something with this information that someone has so graciously shared with us. Don't take it that this is free game, that it doesn't mean something. It actually means a lot. And it could be the difference of you starting that dream business. It could be the difference of you going to Umrah. It could be the difference of you going to Hajj because of the investments that you made earlier. And $7,000 that can double, triple, quadruple in amount. And in a couple of years, there's your money for Hajj. There's your money for Umrah. So you took something that cost you $19 a day and you made it into something else. Purchase a home, purchase a vehicle, send a child to college, whatever your goals are. That's what I love about the wealth conversation. The American dream has changed. It's no longer this cookie cutter home with the white picket fence. And no, it's whatever I want it to be. So I'm so grateful for that. We are having this conversation from a faith lens, which I love. Coming up, a lot of the conversations were not around Islam. It was like Islam was like the barrier to actually living life. You guys know my story. What I love about speaking with a Muslim woman, Samar, about wealth is that that's not so.
I'm going to use this to actually bring up one of the things that you say, which is my most favorite. It is that Islam was financed by a woman. I think that reminder needs to be repeated because women really shouldn't shy away from finances or feel like, I can't do that. No, that's not for me. Me, an investor, me, wealthy. Islam was financed by a woman, by Khadija. Because when you look at other aspects of Islamic history, when you look at Hurrem Sultan, who was responsible for so much of the financial management of the endowments of the Ottoman Empire and the waqf, the philanthropy. This is not new to us Muslim women. We're just carrying the torch. None of it is new for us.
Allahu Akbar. We're just carrying the torch. Come on, Samar, with the truth.
We really are. So we shouldn't be shying away from these aspects of life because we really are carrying it. It's not new to us. It's a central part to being a Muslim.
Absolutely. We are the preservers. We are the nation builders. I'm the product of a single mom.
Me too.
A lot of what we learned was from our mother. Whether you're a single mom, you're married with children, the role is the same. The faith comes from you. Faith in all its forms comes from you. The wealth conversation comes from you. Everything, I know how to make $1 out of 15 cents because of my mom. I'm one of 6 children. My mom did wonders with the money she made every single one. I was like, when does it end? You would have thought we were wealthy and we weren't because she knew how to stretch that dollar. She knew how to make a bag of rice seem like an entire meal. Eggs. I've never seen someone stretch eggs the way my mother stretched eggs. We need to know this about ourselves. As women, we are our children's first teachers. What are we teaching them? Are we teaching them that it's impious to not have money? Out of the issues that we have right now as a community, money would solve it.
Absolutely.
Change the way that we think about money. Money is not evil. It's what we do with it that determines what it is and what it isn't, inshallah. Speaking of Islam, what is an ayah or hadith that governs your life and how do you think it shapes the way you live and lead?
I thought a lot about this because I really wanted to be very intentional with it. And it sent me on an entire life reflection even. But for me, it will for sure be that, but perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you. And perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not. Quran 2. For me, it really is that ayah in every sense. I wasn't supposed to go into finance. My original passion was towards science. I really loved genetics in particular. I loved the field of genetics. I studied it on my own whenever I had time when I was in high school. I remember being on the Science Olympiad and my category was genetics. I started out in school studying biomolecular science. But at the same time, I had financial responsibility in the home. I was raised by a single mother. And I started looking at the job market and I was not hearing good things at that time. And this is back in 2011 about the job scope and trajectory for a genetic scientist. Things are very different now. Now we have CRISPR and we have all these advancements, but this is that. And all I could think of was, I need a job. I need to support my mom and my younger brother and I need stability. That's how I switched 2 years after studying biomolecular science. I switched into finance. I remember starting to work in my professional finance career and thinking, what am I doing? In the back of my head, thinking about the fact that right now my career is not aligning with my faith and my values. But at the same time, I had a lot of cognitive dissonance because I'm working to support my family, but then working in a financial institution. So how do I feel about that? That's when I learned about Islamic investments. I learned that there's this huge community of women that no one has been speaking to. Now I get the honor and privilege of speaking to them and helping them with their financial literacy. When I look back at everything, I just think, subhanAllah, I didn't know them, that I would be able to align my faith, my personal values, and my careers. SubhanAllah, like for me, that really was the most amazing thing. But think back to me picking my major and me saying one day I'll be a genetic engineer, being upset that I couldn't pursue it, or me thinking about the things that I had to forego so that I could stay on this track. Now seeing the blessings that have come out of it, that really was so eye-opening for me. That it was a lost plan. My plan was nothing compared to the lost plan.
Listen, this is the first summer because I didn't know that about your story. And I thought I knew everything about time. We plan, but Allah is the best of planners. If you look at all the episodes that we've done where we've interviewed a woman, Allah has done the same thing. Perhaps you hate a thing. And then some things. Allah is something else. I was supposed to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. I see it though.
I know, but I ended up going into business. I started college and the classes, and I was like, "Ooh, I actually don't like this. This is a little bit boring. I need a little bit more." That's what made me switch. A few things made me switch. Family is huge, right? And I was like, "How can I go away and pursue this thing and leave my family in this situation?" So, saying to that, I say, Alhamdulillah. I would not have met you. My life would have taken a completely different course. Allah is the best of planners, and He knows exactly the path to take us through for us to become the people that He needs to be. That saying, "You were made for such a time as this." Samar, you were made for such a time as this. We had this conversation privately, and I'll share just a snippet of it, and that is that we need Samar's representation. We have to see it to be it. How can we aspire to be these Khadija radiallahu anhas of today when there are not that many examples, or if there are, they're not talked about, they're not pushed to the forefront. We don't see their accolades. We don't see anything. To open LinkedIn and to see Samar getting an award, it just made my day, because when one woman wins, we all win. To see Samar up there, it means that it's possible for me. It means that it's possible for women like me. I think that's important. Again, for these, single mom conversations, widow conversations, divorcee conversations, there's a term, fard kifaya, which means the communal obligation. We have to get back to understanding that wealth is an amana, and understanding it in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it down to us. We need to get back to that original understanding, fard kifaya. The single mom, the divorcee, the widow, we don't take care of these women.
We really have to, as a community, think about that. Even for them, with financial knowledge, it's not just freedom, it's also power. When you have the finances, you can leave an abusive relationship. You cannot have to ask for permission before you make a small purchase. And they say knowledge is power, and it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. It is. Having that knowledge on your finances and how to grow your money, no matter what number you're starting from, it really can change the trajectory of your life. Maybe not today, definitely not today, not tomorrow, not next week. Over a period of time, it really can. It's on the community to make sure that the divorced women, the single women, the widows, they feel seen, and that they're also included in conversation.
Mm-hmm. So true. I'm sure we could share so many stories on not being seen. I'm so glad that is your ayah of Quran. That's subhanAllah. I was almost about to cry. That's why I went like this. I was like, oh, because I can see it. We often think about, why did Allah put me through this thing? Oh, this is some our wisdom. That's why He put you through that thing. It was to grow you. It wasn't to hurt you. It was to grow you. So alhamdulillah. Samar, I want to thank you so much for being on. I pray that when women listen to this episode, that they act. We're going to put some links, and we're going to put some links in the episode for them to connect with you, connect with Saturna, schedule their appointment. Just start with that $100. BHS, we're doing a challenge in our community this month. We're going to start with a $100 investment with Saturna, inshallah. So, so we're excited for somebody to come in and talk to us. But every single business is going to invest $100 a month for this quarter. And then, of course, the goal is beyond. They also have a challenge to make more money in their business so that they can contribute even more. But that's a different story. We're going to start with $100, inshallah. Samar, can you please tell the audience where they can find you?
Absolutely. So if you go on amanafunds.com, if you scroll down, you'll see me there. You can click on that. My email is there. My phone number is there. And my booking link is there as well.
And one last anecdote for them that you want to leave with the women that listen to the episode, inshallah.
Here's the life you have right now, and I want you to, for a second, picture the life that you aspire to, whatever that looks like for you, for your family. To get to that, you will need a certain finance. It is possible for you to get to that. Let's remember tying your camel. So you make your dua, you're steadfast in that, you ask Allah for it, that life that you aspire to, the things that you want in life. But you also tie your camel. In this instance, the tying the camel is opening that investment account, opening that retirement account, putting money into it as you can.
I love it, everyone. This episode was sponsored by Saturna Capital. We will share more information in the episode caption, inshallah, for you to connect. Again, want to thank you so much, Samar, for this. For those of you that are Bossy Jabbypreneur podcast stands, we thank you for staying with us over the years. We are going into our 8th year of the podcast, alhamdulillah, and we would love for you to continue with us. Make sure that you're sharing the episodes, and be sure to leave us a comment on this episode and let us know how we did. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.